The Secret of Whispering River Cottage. The humid summer air felt thick and heavy as Leo, Maya, Sophia, and Kai stepped out of the minivan. Ahead of them, nestled among the emerald green hills, was Whispering River Cottage, an old, neglected house that had been in Leo's family for generations. Sunlight reflected off the nearby river, its soft murmur the only sound breaking the afternoon stillness. This year, they were determined to make the most of their summer vacation. Leo, the eldest of the children, 16, was the natural leader, always calm under pressure. Maya, a year younger, was the brains of the group, witty and curious. Sophia, 14, was cheerful and energetic, always the first to jump in. And then there was Kai, the youngest, 13, a bit of a dreamer but surprisingly resourceful when things got tough. The Whispering River Cottage was not like their usual homes. It was filled with dusty furniture, creaky wooden floors, and the smell of old books. They spent the first few days exploring the surrounding woods, swimming in the river, and telling ghost stories at night. They felt like they had entered another world, a world far removed from the bustling city they knew. But on the fourth day, things took a strange turn. They had been exploring a hidden attic, a dusty space filled with forgotten treasures, when Kai stumbled upon a small wooden chest hidden beneath a pile of old quilts. The chest was locked, but Maya, ever prepared, had a small set of lockpicks in her backpack. Inside, they found no gold, no jewelry, no old maps, but a collection of delicate figurines, all crafted from polished river stones, and a worn leather journal. The journal was filled with faded handwritten letters in a language none of them recognized. "This is weird," Leo said, carefully flipping through the pages. Later, as they enjoyed a picnic by the river, they noticed something odd. A small boat, an old wooden skiff, was speeding away from the cabin, silhouetted against the glistening water. Usually, the river has been calm in the afternoon, with only the occasional local fishermen. This boat moved with an urgency that made their hearts race. "Did you see that?" Sophia exclaimed, dropping her sandwich. "It was coming from the cabin," Kai said, his eyes wide. They ran back to the cabin, their playful mood replaced by a growing sense of unease. They found the back door wide open. It had been locked earlier. As they walked through the house, their worries were confirmed. The wooden chest was gone from the attic. "Someone stole it," Maya exclaimed, her voice shaking. "But who?" Leo wondered aloud. And what would they want with those old figurines and a diary? At that point, they decided they weren't going to let the mystery be solved. They had to find the culprits and get the chest back. They were determined to crack the code of the ancient journal and find out what made it so attractive to thieves. The first step was to find out where the boat had gone. They ran downriver and found an old rowboat hidden in the reeds. They knew they had to be careful. Their culprits could be dangerous. They rowed along the river, looking for any sign of the boat. Suddenly, they saw it tied up at a small abandoned dock a little further down the river. They pulled the boat to the shore and climbed out. They moved carefully through the deserted area and found a small cabin hidden in the undergrowth. Listening through a partially open window, they heard voices. They were the voices of the people who had left the cabin in the boat earlier. "Have you read the book?" one of the voices asked. "No, not yet," a third, gruff voice replied. "We need to find someone to translate it. The figurines are the key to the treasure, the one our ancestors' family hid long ago, and they will bring us great wealth." They were talking about the old diary and the figurines. They were looking for treasure. They knew they couldn't fight the thieves alone, and that the police station was far away, so they had to think of something quickly. They decided to try to retrieve the treasure when the thieves didn't see them. While Maya was guarding the cabin, Leo, Sophia, and Kai sneaked up to it. The door was half open, and they entered carefully. They couldn't see the chest, so they began searching the cabin. Suddenly, a voice was heard behind them. "What are you doing here?" They were discovered. One of the thieves came out of the shadows, holding a large branch. It was the hoarse voice they had heard before. They knew they had to run now. Maya, who had been keeping watch, shouted at them to get out. They ran out of the cabin and followed them closely. The robbers chased them, but they managed to escape and jumped into their boat while the robbers ran after them. They rowed furiously back to the cabin. The robbers tried to follow them, but they knew that the river was not very familiar to them. They knew that they could escape with the help of some friends. Leo knew that his friend old Miguel could help them. He lived near the river and knew it like the back of his hand. They headed towards Miguel's dock, and he saw them, helped them get the boat out of the river, and together they turned the tables on the robbers, who had left the boat stuck further up the river. They called the police and the robbers were arrested. Back at the cabin, the police had taken the diary and the figures as evidence, and the children were so tired from the events of the day that they fell asleep almost instantly. A day later, some experts in ancient artifacts arrived to investigate the chest and the diary, and they went to see Maya to talk to her about the diary. We have managed to decipher the language of this diary. It is very old, and the writing tells a very special story, that of a treasure, not of gold or jewels, but of a very special crystal. Maya knew that they had been part of an adventure that was much more than they could have originally imagined.